Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dial It Up. Hello, and welcome to Dial It Up, the All-NBA podcast. I'm Evan Dial, joined by Ryan Kavanaugh.
Hello.
Our second episode on the camera. Very exciting.
What's up, YouTube?
So today, we got some good stuff today. What's social media controversy going on in the NBA, a couple little NBA news nuggets, and then we'll go into our preview of the Southwest Division. So it should be fun. But Ryan, let's talk about Kevin Durant.
So yeah, this was 2 days ago now, something like that. Yeah, where Kevin Durant was found that he was using alternate Twitter and Instagram accounts. I know he had fessed up to the Instagram, not necessarily the Twitter, but he basically went on and he reamed his old team. He went out and he said things like, he was responding directly to internet trolls, which, as you know, is not really the most professional thing to do as an athlete. But
not healthy. So he called out the OKC organization, fan base as a whole. He said he had nothing on that team besides Russ. So I guess he actually gave Russ a compliment in that specific one, in a weird way.
He deserved it.
And he also he took a shot at his old coach, Billy Donovan.
So I think, people were surprised for a lot of reasons because I don't think we've seen athletes tweet this directly. And usually if it's it's coming directly from their profile, they're not making alternate accounts. I actually remember Skip Bayless did something like this last year before his show started. He wrote on his own Twitter, hey, Skip, love the show, blah, blah, blah. So, this
Give himself a compliment.
Yeah, give himself a compliment versus defending himself. So I think this is sort of the interesting impact that social media has on sports in general and how much access it gives you. You think that most of the time it's just meaningless, and you go around on anyone's Twitter profile, you'll see positive tweets and negative trolls and stuff. You'll see a big mix, and usually you don't get involved, but I guess some people just can't help themselves, and Kevin Durant's not an exception in this case.
The thing is, when this happens, me and a lot of people, you assume it's hacked, and a lot of players, when this a similar situation happened with Kristaps Porzingis, and he said it was hacked. And even when a lot of players do say it's hacked, you don't always believe them.
Right.
Even though it is highly possible. This turns out it was him. To Kevin Durant's defense, he was accountable, and he did own up to it, which was good.
Yeah, it's cool. Not a lot of people will do that.
But, grow up. This is ridiculous. It's a year after it all happens. You won the championship. You were the finals MVP. You should be moved on by now, and you should be past this kind of stuff. You're an adult.
Yeah. It's still, I guess he's still pretty young. He's not 30 yet. So it was interesting. He responded to 5 days ago before this, he responded to a YouTube commenter saying something like, I'm in my late 20s. I'm still figuring myself out. I play Xbox. I drink beer. I had acne. I'm still becoming a man. So he still seems to I think he's pretty comfortable sort of admitting he has his own flaws and he has things about himself that he doesn't he's a little sensitive, I guess, is probably the best way to.
It's clearly he's thin-skinned.
Yeah.
And when the move happened, he first tried to act like he didn't care, at least publicly, and where now clearly he does. And it's been revealed, he said to his agent right after, "Why did you make me do this?"
Yeah, that's amazing. His agent did not make him do this, first of all.
This was his decision, and he should have known the backlash that would have come with it. And you just got to deal with that.
Yeah, do you think because he's sort of, LeBron James, you got to look to that example when he left to Miami, of the drawback you'll get because of that. Just
I think Durant thought he was better because he didn't have the whole decision thing. But, of course it's going to hurt the fan base, especially when you go to a team that good. People are going to react like that.
Right.
I'll give LeBron a compliment, though. He never did anything like this.
No, he kind of embraced, at least that first year, he embraced the villain role, and he went fully into that. I think Kevin Durant wanted to do that, but he doesn't have the same mettle. He doesn't have the same kind of character that LeBron has, where he can just be Teflon and brush a lot of that stuff off. Even LeBron James was.
LeBron was hurt by it, but he didn't He didn't let it, I mean, I guess he did at the finals collapse,
Yeah.
but that was a separate thing. But he never took to social media and never did anything to this level.
Right. And you can be cryptic on Twitter and stuff. He does that all the time, but I mean, he doesn't call out like specific trolls who are just on there who are probably just like 12-year-old little kids who just want to, be dicks.
Yeah, like a 12-year-old from Oklahoma City. Hey, you suck.
Yeah.
At KD Trey 5. You hope KD gets to the point where he looks back fondly of his time at OKC and says nice things, because, I mean, they had a lot of really good years.
Yeah.
They didn't win a title, but they were, I mean, probably for a stretch, one of the most fun teams to watch and a lot of good times. So
here's an interesting little side question here. How do you think this is going to affect the Oklahoma City fans next year? Because, do you think it's going to be worse than it can't be worse than when he came back last year, but
no,
I feel like right
about
on that
the
level.
same.
Yeah.
And what's more exciting is the Thunder will have a better team this year. They got Paul George, so that environment, it'll be loud. Mm-hmm. And it'll be raucous. And if the Thunder do happen to win one of those home games, it'll be a big win. It'll be crazy. And Durant will hear it. Will he probably get the last laugh? Yes.
Yes.
But it'll be a nice moment for OKC.
Yeah. And it's just when you do this, you're almost feeding the trolls more by responding.
Oh, he's feeding the trolls way more
and
now.
This is just giving more ammunition to OKC fans or trolls, whatever, online.
He should take a month social media break. Just don't even go on it.
Yeah.
And just let the storm pass and just focus on basketball. You're such a great player. Just focus on that.
Yeah.
And just ball so hard.
Yeah.
So let's switch to some NBA news. Big stuff. Andrew Bogut is A, still alive, and B, signed with the Los Angeles Lakers.
It was a 1 year, was it $2 million?
Yeah, it's a small amount.
Deal. Yeah.
So remember last year he started with Dallas and then went to Cleveland after he was bought out and got injured. The fastest I've ever seen anyone get injured.
Yeah, 2 minutes into a game.
Yeah, just
checked in.
Fell and was nah. So he gets injured a lot. But when he's healthy, he's a good player. Defensive monster and a very good passer as a center. He's played with Luke Walton before. Walton was an assistant on Golden State when Bogut was there. So they know each other well. I'm sure that had something to do with it. And look, if he's healthy, this is a good pickup because this team needs defense badly.
Yeah.
They were horrendous last year.
And they're probably not going to be much better this year either. So it definitely gives them...
Yeah, now Lonzo and Lopez, so they need a guy like this. Yeah. So if he can give anything, that's really good. If he gets injured, it's a 1 year deal and it was worth it. So good move by the Lakers. I like the Lakers offseason a lot, and it's weird because they've been so bad in recent years.
Right.
But and I was questionable Magic Johnson, but clearly he's letting Rob Pelinka make some decisions.
Yeah, I think he's the guy that all the players want to see at the meeting and greet. He's really friendly, and Pelinka's the money guy. He's let's figure out how to make this thing work.
Right, and he's making good, sound decisions and getting that team back on track after years of just awfulness. So other big news, Carmelo Anthony and the trade that will never happen is... The new report now is Carmelo's camp saying, we expect a deal to get done by Monday, as in this Monday, because this Monday is media day for every NBA team.
That's a bold move, Cotton.
Bold move. Obviously, media day would be super uncomfortable and awkward if Carmelo was still there as a Knick. He does not want to go through that. If he's not traded, I would not be shocked if he just doesn't show up and just takes a fine.
It just stops. He just pulls a D Rose last year. Just not show up.
He doesn't want to answer 1,000 questions about all the trade stuff. He wants out. Mentally, he is already in Houston. But the Ryan Anderson contract is still holding this situation hostage.
Yeah.
So it'll remain to be seen if somehow they pull out a trade out of nowhere in the next couple of days. If not, they're going to be a little uncomfortable in New York. It'll be one of the more interesting media days.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be relentless questions, just all about the trade and how he feels, and it's not going to be about basketball whatsoever.
And then the Knicks have enough problems. They don't need this on top of it, and just they have to find a way to cut bait. I don't know what is the best way. I get that it's difficult with contracts and no trade clause, but there has to be a way to at least get Melo to a place where he appears to be happy. Just make this work. Okay, Knicks are a mess. What's new? Moving on. Southwest Division. So last week we did Northwest Division. We'll do our second West Division. So Southwest is Rockets, Spurs, Mavericks, Pelicans, Grizzlies. We'll start bottom, work our way up. Should be not as competitive as the Northwest Division, but still a fairly good division.
Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be. There's no team in this is a bad team. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real awful. Like, Dallas is probably the worst team, and they're still solid.
We both have Dallas at 5. I put them at 34 and 48. What do you have?
I got them at 33 and 49, so pretty much where you
close.
are. Vegas likes them for 35.5 wins, so pretty much in our territory here.
Okay, so things with Dallas. Exciting rookie, Dennis Smith. My prediction, Rookie of the Year. I think Rick Carlisle will give him the keys. He'll get a lot of volume. Sure, he'll take his lumps, but he'll get points. 2. Harrison Barnes was kind of decent, but a volume scorer. Let's see if he can become efficient this year. And then with them, look, they don't have a lot of other bright. Offense will be tough some nights. They will play super hard, though, and Rick Carlisle is a great coach. They'll win a few games that they shouldn't. But overall, just a lack of talent. This seems like a 35-win team max. And then there's Dirk. So a question about is Dirk's last year. From reports I've read, he wants to do one more year after this so he could hit the big 2-0 in numbers. At this point in his career, they kind of have to play him at the 5 because he's so bad defensively at the 4 now. But offensively, he can still get you efficient, 12 to 15 points a game. He can still shoot a bit, so he has his value. And for a team that needs shooting and offense, he'll still get minutes.
Right.
And I don't think he cares that they're bad. I think he's having fun now.
Yeah, he's one of the rare guys who just wants to play it for a certain team his whole career.
He got his ring.
Yeah.
He's super loyal to the organization, and he just loves to hoop.
Honestly, you gotta respect that.
Yeah.
That he loves the game so much that he doesn't even really care that they're going to be sort of a bottom feeder in the Western Conference.
Because basically his whole career before last year, they were a playoff team, except real early. But I think they had a record of 12 straight years making it or something. So he's had a ton of success. But unfortunately, this will probably be a bad year. Just the only exciting, we're excited to see Dennis Smith.
Yeah, it'll be cool.
Dude had a 48-inch vertical.
Yeah.
For people who don't know how ridiculous that is an NBA record at the combine.
Higher than VC.
That is getting up.
But going back to the Dirk thing, I think there's a chance. If Dallas just comes out and plays like ass, and it's just a stressful year. I think there's a chance that he just is you know what, I can't do this again. I'm just gonna go.
It's highly possible if they're real bad.
Yeah.
And then the other question, speaking of they're real bad, is if they'll embrace the tank. They tanked a little last year at the end.
Yeah.
It was right at the end.
It was smart. It was strategic tanking.
I think they got eliminated. They fought until they were eliminated, which was maybe 10, 11 games left, and then they threw in the towel.
Yeah, they were the team that was tanking, but nobody really said they were tanking. They were just
right. They did it covertly.
Yeah.
You can get away with that when it's just only about 10 games. It's at the end of the season. But I wonder if they're off to a rougher start this year, if they throw in the towel earlier, maybe when they're not even technically eliminated, and just look, draft is again very strong this year. We've got some holes. We don't know. Remember, Nerlens Noel's only on a 1-year deal. Teams are going to want to give him a big offer next season of filling Dirk's shoes. And I know Rick Carlisle will probably not be the biggest fan of this, but Cuban definitely would.
If
This team's not making the playoffs.
not making the playoffs, and if you're not making the playoffs, you might as well just go all in with the tank.
So I wouldn't be surprised to see them join the tank watch after the All-Star break and, just play a few young guys more, give Dirk some rest, and see what happens. All right, let's move one on up. 4, we both have the Memphis Grizzlies.
That's right.
Grin and grind.
Vegas Superbook has them at 37.5 wins. What do you have them at?
Right around, I have 38 and 44.
Exact same record.
Slightly below average team. I want to give an RIP to the Grin and Grind era. Tony Allen and Zach Randolph are both gone. Both core members of that team. A group that made the playoffs 7 years in a row. I guess they made the conference finals 1 year.
Yeah.
They got swept by San Antonio. One of the best defensive teams in recent memory. Just offense and shooting was always an issue. But definitely a team that I really enjoyed watching, and that they play so hard. Look, last year they won, I think, 43 games, and that was off greatness by Gasol and Conley. And they're always really good in close games. It's kind of amazing, actually.
That's just being veterans. They know
I think
how
veterans, they don't turn it over. They always win on the glass. And so that's why their point differential is always kind of bad for a playoff team, but their record's good. But this year, look, besides those two, who we both think clearly are studs, this roster is thin.
Yeah,
Oof.
Fizdale's going to have a hell of a time trying to get some of these guys to learn the system.
It's a lot of reclamation projects here.
Yeah.
Tyreek Evans and Ben McLemore. I don't think McLemore is good, and he's already injured. Evans, I was fine with the pickup. They need someone who can penetrate and score. Mario Chalmers is coming off serious, and who knows what you'll get from him. Chandler Parsons was abysmal last year and then had the surgery. Both knees. Who knows? If you get anything from him, who knows? Maybe they can be better. And maybe this group, they form some weird... they channel their best selves and they form some mismatch unit. Just like Dallas has no chance of playoffs. This team has a chance, but so many things need to go right. Mainly health and someone else unexpected step up. Remember, they also lost Vince Carter, who was actually a fairly significant contributor for them. So hopefully they're on their rookies. Dylan Brooks, Ivan Robb can step up. But offense is going to be a serious issue, and just the West is tougher. Yeah. So now, burning question for them. So say things start poorly. Will they consider trading Gasol at the deadline? There were a few rumors in the offseason. The Grizzlies front office put those down. He's a Grizzly for now, but we know how things can change, and I wonder if they're going to look to move him.
Absolutely. They should look to move him if they start struggling right from the get-go, because he's still so good. I mean, last year
teams will be very interested.
Oh yeah, he had a damn three-pointer last year. He's still expanding his game. He's still young enough. He probably has another 5 solid years left, and then maybe 2-3 more after, just at a sort of Pau Gasol fading kind of level.
Right.
But who wouldn't want him on their team? He's great. He'd be great anywhere.
Look, if I'm Cleveland and I'm serious about trying to beat Golden State, I am throwing that Brooklyn pick at Memphis and saying Gasol. Can you imagine Love, Gasol, and LeBron front line? Woo! And Gasol is such a good defender. He would be great against Golden State. And look, for Memphis, this is a team very strapped for cash due to the big deals to Conley and Gasol. They don't have a lot of... They owe a future draft pick to you guys, the Celtics.
Thank you.
So there's not a lot of other avenues to get better.
All right.
So this may be their only move, and I know it's painful because he is adored in Memphis. Mm-hmm. He went to high school there from Spain, and his brother... and I know it'll hurt. But of the two, he's easier to trade because of Conley's bigger contract in the remaining years. Say they're, 12 and 20, do you start considering it?
Yeah, I think you definitely look to move him. Probably, I'd guess through Eastern Conference team like the Cavs, especially. They're probably the prime.
Boston, Cleveland.
Yeah, those
Washington as a dark horse.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't know. I'm sure. I think probably Cleveland might be the best target right now with that Brooklyn pick. Not that they're going to get him for that, but they have the most assets right now probably to go through.
Right, the Brooklyn, a high lottery pick where you can get a stud in next year's draft. I'm not sure it will happen. If I had to predict, I would say yes.
Yeah, I think. I mean, both said it. They're definitely trending in the wrong direction, and I mean, they won 43 games just on solid play last year. Now they have 2 of those members of the core both gone. I don't know if they're going to be able. I mean, they might just be able to win just because Mike Conley and Gasol are just going to be able to keep them above water. But is there really a purpose? If you start off slow, is there really a need to...
even if they do make the playoffs, they'll lose in the first round.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'll even be pesky like they were last year.
Yeah. And
when they won 2 games.
I think at this point, too, I mean, I don't know, maybe the fan base is they want to keep their playoff streak alive. Some...
7. It's the second longest in the West.
Sometimes some teams care so much about playoff streak. They just want to be there. They're happy to be there. But really, I think the thing to look forward to now is all right, we need to start actually building towards the future and not just, tread water here.
Agreed. So, interesting storyline to keep an eye on from them. Leading scorer, probably Mike Conley.
Yeah.
He hit 20 points for the first time in his career last year. Guy's a fine wine, gets better with age. Could argue maybe the craftiest point guard in the game right now. He's really good. He'll be fun to watch, but unfortunately for him, I don't think it'll be a good season for that team.
Yeah.
Third, I think the most interesting team in the NBA, the New Orleans Pelicans.
Yeah. So I think we both have them. I think we disagree on this team a little bit. Vegas likes them for 39.5 wins. Where do you have them here?
I have 5 above, 44 and 38.
44 and 38. So you like them as the 8th seed, correct?
The 8th seed in the West.
Okay.
They're making it.
Okay. I got them at 41 and 41, so 500. I think they're just out of the playoff picture, but I think they're going to be in the hunt. There's going to be 3 or 4 teams, including the Jazz, the Pelicans,
Blazers.
Blazers.
And the Clippers.
Right. They're all going to be kind of hovering around.
I think it's a 4-team race for the last 2 spots.
Yeah. But let's go into start unpacking some of this. Why are they so weird?
Okay, so look, they made the big move last year to get Cousins, and at the time, everyone thought it was a win because they didn't give up that much. Cousins Davis only played 17 games together. They went 7-10. The results weren't great, even though they showed some flashes at the end. Here are the problems. They don't have a lot of shooting around them, so spacing gets tight. They're very thin on the perimeter, and things just got worse with Solomon Hill out 6 to 8 months, so most of the season, with a hamstring injury. He was going to start at small forward for them. Now, look, good news is they re-signed Drew Holiday, which was an absolute must. But man, the people they brought in Rondo, Tony Allen, 2 veterans, and the couple reclamation projects, Darius Miller and Perry Jones.
Remember him?
Yeah, they're kind of trying to make this group work. And look, Rondo and Allen can certainly help them on defense, and they actually were a pretty good defensive team last year. Cousins, they're both good defenders when they're engaged, and they may have to form that kind of defense grinded out team with the lack of shooting. They're going to have to do some crazy. Cousins as a point center, as a spot-up player, Davis as a cutter. And so it's interesting to see now that they have a training camp together what kind of stuff generally comes up, who will start. It may be Rondo and Holiday at the 2 as a spot-up shooter, and Tony Allen at the 3, or Etuan Moore at the 3, or Holiday, Moore, and Allen. And it's so... They're very thin on the perimeter, and they don't really have a go-to lineup. But look, Cousins and Davis are super talented, and I think they want this to work. They know the clock is ticking. The pressure is on. Cousins is a free agent this year. Davis next. There's already been trade rumors. So I get that there's a lot of pressure. But Cousins is such a good passer, and Davis is such a good finisher. I believe it work, and I think they'll just make the playoffs literally on the strength of those two just figuring it out and being possibly one of the most unique teams in the league.
So, if they make the playoffs, I think I would go right into the burning question, or one of the burning questions for this team. Are they going to be able to keep this core together? Like if they just make the playoffs?
You hope just making the playoffs and at least being competitive. In this case, would be Golden State. Hopefully win a game. Probably not.
It'll be close games, maybe.
Honestly,
probably not.
no idea. Cousins, unrestricted free agent. Lots of teams will obviously be very interested. And who knows? Probably is he probably going to leave? Yeah, is Davis probably going to be traded later? Yeah, because those things happen to small market teams. Yeah. But I still respect them for trying this and thinking outside the box and taking a risk. But yeah, I get it. And like the Grizzlies, if they too start slow, expect to see Cousins' names. Also the Cleveland, where they could dangle the Brooklyn pick, because like the Grizzlies as well, this team is strapped for cash, and they don't have a lot of picks or just young assets.
God, that would be so scary if he goes to Cleveland. Please do not let that happen, for the love of God.
Right, that would be intense. That would be a force. So I may end up being totally wrong, but I will predict them to make the playoffs, just 8th seed. I'll bet on them. I'll take a risk. I'll go with the gamble.
I like it.
And I guess we answered the burning question. Leading scorer, Davis. I mean, he averaged 28 and 12 last year. Yeah. He'll put up the same this year, even with Cousins. Yeah. Dude's a monster. All right, up next, we have the San Antonio Spurs, Old Faithful. Both we have them second in the division.
Yeah, Vegas likes them for 54.5 wins this year. I have them for a few less. I got them 51 and 31 just because I detect a slight bit of underperforming this year because they lost a few key role players and they relied heavily on Kawhi Leonard. And this year, I mean, they're probably still going to rely so heavily on him, but they have a few injuries coming off. Tony Parker still hasn't come back yet.
So I have them around the same, 53, 29. So I think they'll be third overall in the West. Mm-hmm. So Dwayne Dedmon's gone, Jonathan Sinman's gone, Tony Parker may miss part of the season coming back from the quad injury. Plus he's old. Manu Ginobili is still old, but still a good contributor in limited minutes. Still gets it done. Question marks with them. They signed Rudy Gay to a 2-year deal. He's 31 and coming off an Achilles injury. It's the hardest injury to come back from sports, especially as an older player. So it'll be interesting to see what they get out of him. And then there's LaMarcus Aldridge, who had an up-and-down season and even more up-and-down playoffs. Showed some lack of aggression, had some bad games, a couple of really good ones, but they tried to trade him in the offseason, weren't successful. So it'll be interesting to see if during the season maybe they try to get his trade value up, play him more, run some more offense through him, and still look to move him, or they make it work, or it doesn't. So that's still a bit of a question mark. But look, the Spurs will still obviously be good. Kawhi's my pick for MVP. He's a force. They re-signed Patty Mills. Danny Green's a great two-way player. I like their second-year point guard, Dejounte Murray. I thought he showed some good flashes. Paul Gasol still solid. Look, so they'll still be a good team, but there's clearly some chinks in the armor here. They won 61 games last year. Yeah. I doubt they do that again. I have them at 8 less. And also the West is tougher than last year. They probably last year got 4 easy wins versus the Timberwolves. That won't be the case this year. Yeah. Stuff like that. Plus, I think the Rockets are the best team in the division, and obviously the Warriors in the West and in the league. But we still like them overall. Kawhi, we both think the leading scorer, and I just, the way their season go could depend on what they get from Aldridge and Gay as contributors. Gay could be an interesting small ball 4 option for them, if healthy, of course. So the Spurs really go small. They rarely do. They got big a lot with Gasol, Dedmon, David Lee last year. So maybe more LaMarcus at the 5 as he gets older with Gay. I'm interested to see if they experiment with that and Gay as a spot-up shooter. But yeah, the question mark is the injury. Okay, so last but not least, Houston Rockets. We both predict them to be first. They absolutely crushed the offseason. Tariq Black, Mamute, PJ Tucker, and obviously Chris Paul was the big prize addition. I have them at 57 wins.
You're a little over what Vegas thinks. They like them for 55.5. I like them, 55 wins, 55 and 27. Yeah, they're going to be one of the fun teams to watch next year just because it's going to be fun watching them experiment those first few, the first week, 2 weeks of the season. Both Chris Paul and James Harden are ball-dominant players, and they're going to, it's going to be fun to see how they stagger them, if they're going to split the minutes, if they're going to, how they're going to share the ball with each other. How do you think they're going to be able to adapt next year?
So I'm a believer that it will work just of how good of passers and open shooters they are and just competitors, and they want to make this work. They're good friends. I do think it'll take some time, just like it did with the Heat, LeBron, and Dwayne Wade. And I'm guessing, the 15 to 20 game mark, but I think it will click, and they're so versatile around them. They have so many shooters, a great lob threat in Capella. And now they have a lot more defense with Paul and Tucker, Mamute, and Black, that they're so versatile and I think just tougher. And plus, Chris Paul's mid-range game could add a little spice to their offense. I'm really high on the Rockets. I actually think they're the second best team in the league, not just in the West. And if they get mellow and don't have to give up things, they could even be better. I think they have the best chance of at least being competitive with the Warriors. Maybe winning 2 games max, but that's competitive these days with them.
It's an improvement from last year.
That's an improvement. But 57 wins. I think CP3, Harden make it work by the 20 game mark. Harden should be the leading scorer though again. And they addressed their weaknesses, and they did a really good job off season. I like what they did. I
mean, like you said already, their defense improved so much. They're not going to have to rely so much on the just outscoring teams and just trying to win with the 3-ball. They're going to be able to get some stops, some easy transition baskets, and it's going to be a lot easier to win games for them. They're not going to have to just try to, out offense you.
Right. They probably cut down the threes a little bit. They'll obviously still take a lot, but they can win some games defensively now, and that will obviously be huge, especially once it comes playoff time. So, great offseason for Rockets. We like them first in the Southwest Division, second overall in the West. And okay, that wraps up our Southwest Division preview. We'll be on next week talking about the Pacific Division. And remember to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, @Dyal It Up Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.